Greetings, I'm Captain Reg, and I'm back with the Sunday Sampler. This week we're going to be taking a quick look at Spintires MudRunner, a Spintires game. This is developed by Saber Interactive and published by Focus Home Interactive, and as per usual for the Sunday Sampler, this is a review copy. So, Spintires, this is a very familiar game to me, in both a good and somewhat a bad way. There's a lot to talk about in this game, mostly because I've spent, about 8-ish hours in the last week or so playing this, but before that I had 30 hours in the original Spintires, so I'm slightly familiar with this game. And there's been some changes. It's mostly on the mechanical side of things. Looking at this game outside of proper controller prompts, it doesn't look very different from Spintires, and I think that's gotten the game more than a little bit of backlash, so let's dive right into things. There is a prepper tutorial, which is just giving you the very basics, but really challenge mode, which I've only gone through 3 of these thus far, not, 1/3 of the challenges, is more of a refined tutorial. Granted, there are bonus objectives, scare 10 birds with your horn, don't drive over the bridge, causing an alternate, more difficult driving route, that sort of thing for repair and refuel, but it also is teaching the basics of the game. Navigation, be able to refuel and repair a truck, how to climb very difficult hills. This one is night operations. I haven't played it yet, though. I've only taken a quick peek at it just to see what it looks like. And it's dark, that's what it is. But the challenge mode, on top of adding just an additional layer of tutorial, also gives a little bit more of a challenge to be able to figure out some things. So it is a welcome thing, and single player is what we're going to be looking at. I don't have any compatriots right now that owns this game, so yeah, I can't really do multiplayer, but we can do single player and take a look. I have gotten 2 maps complete with progress. Well, I made some progress on the bog, and I have some on crossing. I'm probably about a quarter of the way through the map there, but these maps are very familiar. I don't want to call them rehashes, because I don't think they are, or I should say flat out rehashes, but they are tweaked versions of different maps. Like Crossing is pretty much a mirrored version of the river from the original Spintires game, but these maps also have enough refinements and enough tweaks to them that they don't feel like I'm running the same map all over again. The island is pretty much volcano, I believe. So, yeah, there are some similarities. I'm not sure if they're planning on adding additional maps without DLC. I haven't been able to find any definitive info on that. So, let's just go ahead and dive into the bog. And, I did want to talk the progression system real quick. As you see, I have 5 maps unlocked, but I have a 6th one that's still locked with progression points. Requires me to unlock or complete one other map in order to unlock the luge. And the same could be said with the trucks. Unfortunately, no real stats for these trucks. That's something that I really wish, at least say that, particular trucks have 4-wheel drive or they don't, or if they have the ability to load logs. Like, I know the K700 can. It has a log loader attachment. I know that the C series, I think the C4310 has a crane that can load logs, but just something very basic like that. Like the C256, I still need 2 progression points, which means that I would have to go and finish, likely downhill, which I have about a quarter of the way done. And these maps do take a bit longer than the original Spintires for various reasons, which we'll get to in just a moment, but to be able to unlock everything, it would take probably about 12 hours, give or take. And that's not even getting into hardcore mode, which right now we're just in casual mode, which you can see can recover to garages, or to unlock garages. Damaging the truck doesn't change its parameters. Fuel consumption is lower than hardcore mode. Can skip nighttime. Navigational route is visible in game, and some achievements are are unavailable. Switching to hardcore, damaged trucks will struggle to steer, and its engine is less powerful. Devloped doesn't affect steering wheels and damages the truck on hard surfaces. Devloped can't be engaged while using automatic gearbox. Log stations are disabled using manual loading only. Navigation is limited to the distance and position of the next route node. That's pretty much just showing it on the compass. And wheels will auto steer and force the truck to move downhill on slopes. So yeah, it's a little bit different than the original game because if I recall correctly, granted I didn't really play that much on hardcore mode because there were times that you would get stuck and it would be a little bit bullshit. So this feels a little bit different. So we'll just go ahead and fire up the bug. Unfortunately, I can't continue my game because I had the game crash on tabbing out. Well, and I'm pretty no, I don't want to take a B series. I will take another C truck. Unfortunately, I'm not terribly familiar with these just yet. We'll take a different one. A C255, that's fine. So, full game balance points, which I'm pretty sure the game balance is just essentially a score attack. So, start a new game. And yes, I'll lose my progress because it's lost already. Yeah, the game still doesn't like tabbing out. And this is Spintires, or Spintires MudRunner. You may notice something right away. There is proper button prompts. Start up the engine, and look at that. Well, for one, you could see me unlocking and locking the differential and engaging the all-wheel drive. But proper controller support, that is probably the biggest thing about this game. The original Spintires is a bitch to play with a controller. Or I should say exclusively with a controller, because it requires particularly manually loading the logs to... And there's something that I wanted to talk about, is just phantom damage, but at least I think that was phantom damage. But let's just change trucks. I want to change over to the little Jeep and be able to show you the area a little bit, but the game handles controller support fairly well. I am getting a bit of a bug where it's flickering between controller and keyboard prompts. As a matter of fact, let's see if I can trigger it. So it's not wanting to do it now, but occasionally if I have a winch, I'll try it again later. Particularly the winch. The other one is the crane. It detects, I guess, some noise from my mouse or something, and it makes it so that it tries to switch to keyboard and mouse controls. Let's go for a little bit of a drive. Let's just head off towards the lumber mill, I guess. Which will be off to the left. But yeah, there's a bit of a bug, and also the camera is a little bit wonky. It's not unbearably so, but it has this, like, a look before it tries to orbit. And it's just odd. And there's a first-person mode now. Granted, the first-person mode feels very tacked on. The HUD display there is just weird, and also no working mirrors, which trying to drive a load or a long trailer in first-person mode without a way to really look back, because this is the extent I could look to the left and to the right. So I can't even look over my shoulder back through the rear window. Granted, I'm not expecting full Euro truck where I'm leaning out the door, but at the same time, unable to be able to see the orientation of my trailer is a bit off-putting. Let's get back to the driving a little bit. You'd see that I'm going a little bit slower than you may expect in a Spintires game. The mud and dirt actually is a lot more impactful to the driving experience. And also, trucks tend to feel a little bit more weighty, at least in the mud. I can see right here. Not. And oh, whoa. Okay, I'm not sure. Oh, okay, I hit a branch there, but you can see right there that, that is some kind of bullshit damage, to be perfectly honest. And that is something that I think they do need to balance, is that, driving past a branch like that shouldn't do, a tenth of my truck's damage. Oh. Have to drive a little bit harder there. Okay, let's take a look, see. Because what I wanted to do was also show you moving water, but I may have picked a bad map to do that. I didn't get to progress too far in this map because I tabbed out to check something, and, well, the game crashed. But then again, that's kind of par for the course for Spintires. It does not like tabbing out at all. Thankfully, multiplayer has it where you can save progress now. So, that's at least one blessing. Don't worry, I'll find some water eventually. But we are kind of booking it. And you may notice that there is a little bit of level of detail pop in here and there. Not nearly as egregious as the original Spintires. Let's just go off-road completely. Yeah, where we're going, we don't need roads. But overall, well, I never really talked about what Spintires is. I've kind of focused. Oh, there's another bit of damage that I'm not sure is warranted there. I never really talked about what Spintires is for someone that isn't familiar with the game series, well, a series at this point. Is that Spintires is a simulation where you're driving logs from one point to another. Matter of fact, let me bring up the map. You have to take, let's see, there's a garage up there that I can unlock. Logs from the logging station or a different log kiosk if you want to load manually. To this map only has one lumber mill right there. Take 8 points of logs and you win. Sounds simple. It isn't. This is a game very much about looking at the map and thinking, how the hell did I do that? And then just simply doing it. Or going off and getting stuck in the mud and somewhere in the wilderness. There is that as well to the game. Which is not unwelcome. There's a certain amount of zen just to driving in this game. I'm not sure if it's just... Ooh, right here is some moving water, I think. Or is it just rippling off it? No, there's a little bit of movement to this water. I will say that I am impressed with just what they've done with the water because it moves very realistically. And there's just something about the... It's not the most beautiful game. It's not the most high fidelity graphics, but it does the job well enough that it's rather striking at times. And sometimes it's nice to just have a nice zen game to go driving around in. And we are going in the wrong direction to be able to hit that watch point, which is how you uncloak the map, well, short of just exploring it. So let's go do that. I'll show you that. And I'll hit a different map that has moving water pretty quickly. Assuming that this doesn't, turn into more dangerous water, because the water is very much an obstacle in this game, more so than the original game. And that's probably the biggest change. The biggest change is pretty much the quality of life issues with the gamepad support. The fact that mud is a bigger obstacle than it used to be, and that you can't just drive over it, particularly with the lighter trucks. We're just not being friendly to nature. Matter of fact, this may be where we need to go. And we could circle around here. Oh, maybe not. It does look like the woods over here is sparse enough that I could thread the needle. Go to first person mode, which I do like the first person mode that they added it, but right there is the watch point. See if we can get to it though, because oh, this is gonna be painful. I mean, look how easy it is to be able to winch now. So easy. It's a Spintires MudRunner is pretty much a refinement of the original game. That's the easiest way to really call this. And I do have to admit that it is nice that it's no longer a black tornado and it's just a prepper flag. And right there is part of the map revealed. Let's head off to a different map just to show you some moving water, because I must have picked the worst map for that. And that's not much better. Oh. I don't have much progress in this. So let's just start a new thing here, because I want to show you how the water affects trucks now, because it is rather impressive. And once again, we'll swap to that just to show that there is more than one way to do that. And also, you know, I just hit the wrong thing, but also something else is that certain trucks are what they call recallable now, as in I could always recall this Jeep to any other truck. And am I immediately stuck? Something else that they did is they kind of refined the gear shift system, where it's not as big of a pain in the ass to be able to shift around. So let's see. We are here. It shouldn't take too long to get up there. But you can see just how different the driving mechanics are, because I'll just shift it back to auto because I don't need the kind of the low gear to be able to get through this now. And you can also see why the maps take a bit longer to get through, at least initially. Once you know what you're doing and know where everything is in the redone maps, it's not nearly as long. But, you know, there's also a certain element of exploration that these games really encourage. Oh, as I hit a branch again. Okay, we're just circling around, which that's fine. As a matter of fact, let's just go ahead and put down some waypoints. And we'll see if that triggers the bug. Like right there. You'd see on the map also one other thing is that you can see how deep the water is. Short dots like that means that the water's fairly shallow. So that should be okay for us to cross. Put there, there, there. Oh. Now I'll take us to the water mill. Well, I want to head up to the river at some point. Granted, I haven't actually done this map yet. But, you know, it's a nice distraction. That's what this game is. It's a nice kind of just zen distraction. So, is there really anything else to talk about here? Because, yeah, everything is mostly in the quality of life and mechanics standpoints on the improvements of the game. It's a little bit of a tough sell for the newest players because they have a loyalty bonus thing going on where if you own the original Spintires, they're giving a 50% off until the end of the month, well, the end of the current month, November 30th. Which, for that price, it doesn't seem that bad. It's a nice quality of life change. There's, I think, enough refinements, and depending on what they do with post-launch support, and that's the big question mark, well, usually anyway, it's just how the game is handled post-launch. $30 is a little bit tougher to swallow, I think, at least at the current time, because usually Spintires goes pretty heavily discounted. Granted, you could probably get a discounted copy of Spintires and immediately go to MudRunner and not lose too much money in the process. And mod support is fairly well underway. I've seen a lot of maps already popping up for this, just porting over old modded maps. And I never really ran the modded maps, so I can't really talk to their quality, and that's something that should be considered, though, is just the modding community, because there is a fair amount of mod support already for this with just randomly made vehicles. Some very high quality ones. I have them disabled for this video, though. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I just want to head to the river, so that's north. We'll put down some more things here. I could always just skip forward, but yeah. Maybe they finally fixed the controller issue, because there was a patch just before I started recording. But this also gives you some more gameplay to really be able to get a feel for the game, to be perfectly honest. And this is the type of game that definitely isn't for everyone. It is very slow paced, but I think for the people that like things like Euro Truck, this is, a pretty good pickup. It's just, pick it up now or pick it up later, because, yeah. Oh, come on. Let's go to low gear. You can see how the difference in the mud is, because in the original game, this truck is light enough that you would be able to just glide right over the top of things, but this, you have to be mindful of your throttle so that you don't dig in too much. Which I like the fact that they've refined the driving controls a lot. You have to be a little bit more careful. Granted, I am still running on casual mode. Hardcore is, of course, more hardcore than this. But there's just little details like how the water drips off the truck and splashes up on the sides. It shows a lot of thought in the game. My main beefs really are the camera, not just the fact that it is primarily a third-person camera. Because once you spend enough time with it, this camera feels fairly natural. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's something. But this odd, not quite orbit that they have with the camera is a little odd. And also, at least one of the maps has a proper bridge, as in a steel bridge. And this camera absolutely hates that bridge. I'm not sure if they're planning on fixing it right away, but actually I don't want to winch to that. I want to see if we can get closer and get to that tree. Granted, going over that bridge, it's a small thing, and you can just go to first person mode, but it is something that pops up that should be fixed. Okay, come on. Pull, and we're out. And immediately get stuck again. But movement is a lot more fluid just with, watch the rock, with the better controller support. And I do have to admit that I am rather impressed still with just the amount of ground deformation. Because you don't really see all that much ground deformation in gaming right now. And I am stuck again. Okay, there we go. Now we're cooking with gas. So should you get Spintires? If you like or if you're a fan of off-roading, if you like slower, more deliberate driving games, this is definitely a pickup. If you're a speed demon, this game goes closer to 5 miles an hour than 150. Matter of fact, particularly right now as I kind of dig in again. Don't want to hit the throttle too hard. I'm just watching the wheels. There we go. And sometimes you just gotta feather the throttle and just be very careful. Okay, so here we are at the river. And this is pretty much the last thing I wanted to show off. Unfortunately, I picked the worst maps to be able to do it quickly, but and this is gonna be fun. So, previous game, water was an obstacle, of course, but even moving water, it wasn't that big a deal. In this game, well, first of all, you could see the flow going, which that's a rather impressive effect, especially for I consider this still an indie game, or at least a AA game. No, not quite AAA quality, but it's definitely there. But that's a rather impressive view, isn't it? Let's hit the map. You can see not terribly deep. There's some deeper spots over there, but shallow enough. So we get into the water. The truck starts to behave a little strangely because the current is pushing me. Granted, this is shallow enough that I think I may be able to cross, but it is a fight the entire way. Matter of fact, you may have seen right there at the end that I got pushed a fair bit away sideways. Yeah, water is deadly, particularly to lighter trucks like this. Now, a truck loaded down with logs, matter of fact, this may be deadly. Oh, yeah. I am moving sideways. This is not good. Yeah, this is less than ideal. And I'm taking water damage, and I'm being flipped. But this is exactly why I wanted to show is just what you can see. I am being pushed, and I am not touching anything. What's my way out? Yeah, this truck does not swim. Yeah, that shows you water has been changed a fair amount. But that's exactly what I wanted to show you. Particularly for small trucks like this, you're not going across this river, at least easily. We were able to get past the first part, and maybe went kind of angled to the river, so it's not pushing me back or pushing me sideways as much. I'll be able to do it, which I'll try, but I'm not expecting much progress here. Matter of fact, I'm just fighting the current right now. The other option is to go along with the river and try to angle downwards. Granted, then we're gonna just hit deep water. That's less than ideal as well. Or it's just gonna flip us. Yeah, it flipped us. Oh. Whee! Well, that's one way to clean the truck. Do not mess with Old Man River. You can see just, yeah, all the water on everything. And oh, yeah. I think we're done here, though. Just looking at my notes, see if there's anything I'm missing, and I don't really see anything. Oh, water's more dangerous. The trucks are definitely more weighty, but yeah, the water is much more of a force to be reckoned with. Oh. Overall, though, I like the game. But then again, I liked Spintires originally, so yeah, it's a refinement to the original Spintires is very much welcomed, and I hope that the post-launch support is done well. And I'm just going to switch the other truck, and if I was playing in hardcore mode, I'd go fish the other truck out, most likely. But very detailed, particularly on mud and everything else. I just wish that, yeah, things like mirrors or, you know, be able to look back. Granted, this truck doesn't... Well, yeah, it does have a window in the back, so you'll be able to look over my shoulder would be nice as well. But from everything that I understand that they're planning on doing post-launch support, that will be fixed eventually. It's just, I can't predict the future, or, you know, if they continue to do that, or if it materializes, so, yeah. Overall, though, I think it's worthwhile, but this is very much a personal judgment. You can see just how much easier this truck moves through things, because for one, 6-wheel drive, it's a lot heavier, so it's able to push through. Yeah. The Jeep is no longer the king of the road. But I think that does us today. I'll continue to drive while I do my ending spiel. As always, constructive feedback is greatly appreciated, particularly for the Sunday sampler, because, well, it's always something different. And you can see also the fuel in this truck. It's kind of neat, huh? But yeah, constructive feedback is always greatly appreciated, either in the comments below, or if you don't really have anything to say but want to let me know that you enjoyed or hated this, hit the appropriate buttons, or just subscribe if you'll see more of the Sunday sampler or my eventual other content. I'm a little content light right now just because, well, life has found a way to mess with one series. One series is it's on hiatus, waiting for a new version, and I'm in final testing to be able to revive another series. So yeah, it's just been a perfect storm of content problems, but that will be resolved soon enough. But subscribe and you'll be able to find out exactly when the drought ends. Speaking of drought, I'm in the exact opposite here. It's a little odd that it decided to fix itself on the controls, but that might be just, you know, the patch that happened right before the recording. But I think we are done here. As always, thank you for watching, and as I mosey on and right along the map border, as you can see with the do not enter signs, say thank you for watching and keep on spinning in the mud.